Chapter 1, Space Upgrade S City. Under the dazzling lights, it is bustling and noisy. 26-year-old Zhang Cheng looked away. He was an ordinary migrant worker who barely lived in this international metropolis. It's the kind of screw that is said on the internet. With a salary of less than 6,000 yuan per month, he could only live in this big city. Because the rent alone costs 2,300 a month. Of course, this was a decent place he rented with his girlfriend before. Although they have broken up now, Zhang Cheng doesn't plan to move. On the one hand, it is troublesome, and on the other hand, he is used to living in this place. Besides, the landlord is also good. If there is any damage in the room, he will come to repair it directly, as long as it is not caused by personal reasons. If it is damaged, Zhang Cheng will not be charged. Therefore, Zhang Cheng has lived here for 4 years. 4 years. Thinking of this, a pretty figure flashed in Zhang Cheng's mind. His ex-girlfriend Nan Nan. Shaking his head, Zhang Cheng did not intend to continue to cherish the past, walked into the subway, found a place to sit down and took out his mobile phone. Opened a certain novel, found a novel of the gods, and read it. Looking at the protagonist in the novel, who got the system's big purchase, Zhang Cheng's exhaustion after a day's work is also recovering in the rest. About 40 minutes later, Zhang Cheng walked out of the subway and walked home. Looking at the fruit stand by the roadside, he thought about it and bought 2 caddies of oranges. Although he doesn't need to buy it, because he also has a plugin. It's just that Zhang Cheng still spends money to buy ordinary fruits compared to the fruit produced in the space of about half an mu of land, which is about 300 square meters and 18 meters long and wide. Because the fruits produced in the space can be sold for points, and then the space level can be increased. One day 3 years ago, Zhang Cheng suddenly obtained a space that only existed in his own consciousness. And just when he thought he was about to become the protagonist of Shenhaoan, reality hit him hard. Even if this space can be operated by one key of his consciousness, and various procedures such as plowing, planting, harvesting, and simple processing can be completed, but there is nothing special about it. Apart from being able to be manipulated by Zhang Cheng's consciousness, this piece of land is only half an acre of land, with a length and width of almost 18 meters. It can simply be regarded as an ordinary piece of land. The various plants produced are of ordinary effects, and the various animals cultivated are not unusual, and the growth time is almost the same as the actual time required, and the space will also require supplementary fertilizer. In short, it is an ordinary half mu of land. In addition to the items harvested in the space can be taken out, and the items needed in the space can be received, even the function of a space ring is not provided. Let Zhang Cheng want to do something like buying and selling. He can't do it. It really made one cry of sympathy. After all, others took off immediately after they got the plugin, but he was completely the beggar's version of the plugin. Fortunately, by chance, Zhang Cheng discovered that all kinds of materials harvested in space could be exchanged for space points. And the space integral seems to be able to improve the space level. Although I don't know what the benefits will be after raising the space level, since then, Zhang Cheng has basically not taken out the space harvest except for experimenting with the exchange points of various crops and animals. Just take out some occasionally to check the quality of the space harvested items. What if there is anything special? Not to mention the treatment of AIDS, even treating a cold and fever is good. It's a pity that Zhang Cheng just wanted to eat shit. And what's even more pitiful is that the amount of space harvesting to exchange space points seems to be fixed. For example, if you plant wheat, you can harvest twice a year, with a total of almost 1,000 kilograms, which can be exchanged for 100 space points. You can harvest potatoes 4 to 5 times a year, each harvesting about 3,000 kilograms, which means you can harvest 12,000 a year. To 15,000 pounds, but the space points that can be exchanged are still 100 points. Not to mention other things, wheat does not need a lot of fertilizer a year, and it is about 400 kilograms a year, which is about $1,000 or $2,000. But the potato guy needs more organic fertilizer. A round of at least 200 kilograms, 4 or 5 times down, that is nearly 1,000 kilograms, and the cost directly doubles. Therefore, after discovering that the ratio of space harvesting to space points is constant, that is to say, no matter how many things are produced, only so many points can be exchanged. Fruit trees cope. Fortunately, there are not many points required for space upgrade, only 300 points. Looking at the approximate harvest time of this batch of fruits, Zhang Cheng couldn't help but look forward to it. Because in 10 more days, he will be able to accumulate 300 points. More than 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. When Zhang Cheng thought about it and converted the gains in the space into points, the 300 points finally got together. Do you want to increase the space level? A translucent prompt appeared in front of Zhang Cheng. Of course. Zhang Cheng said a little excitedly. The space level has been raised, please wait, please wait. About 2 or 3 minutes later. The space level upgrade is completed, and the Tiankenja space is obtained. Then it was gone. Zhang Cheng was stunned when he saw this. Is this the end? You are messing with me. Zhang Cheng was speechless with 2 lines of tears in his heart, and his mentality exploded directly. It was similar to when his teammates sent him a 027 when he was fighting pesticides. Yu reading www.yuuganju.com, but that can only be the case. As the old saying goes, the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. Zhang Cheng sighed, then opened his space, and found that the space seemed to be folded, as if he had opened 2 web pages while playing on the computer. This made Zhang Cheng raise a bit of his character, and looked at another bare space. The size is the same as the previous space, which is about half an mu of land. This seems to be some kind of heavenly space? Where is Tiankenja? Is it another planet in a galaxy in the universe? Or is it simply another dimension? Zhang Cheng couldn't understand, so he simply didn't want to. Just keep planting? Looking at the 0/3000 indicated at the top of the space, that is to say, the space points required for the next upgrade of the space level will directly increase by 10 times, which requires 3000 points. If calculated according to the previous upgrade process, Zhang Cheng needs 3. It will take 10 years to raise the space level again, and of course, now there is an extra half mu of space in Tiankenja. This period can be shortened to 15 years. It's just that even if it lasts for another 15 years, what's the point of raising the space level and adding up to 3.5 acres of space for another inexplicable half mu? Zhang Cheng sighed, but out of the shameful virtue of being diligent, thrifty, and wasteful, he decided to plant fruit trees in the newly acquired space of heaven. Handle it, who wouldn't? And if you really don't want to continue to improve the space level, in the future, it will be a lot of money to sell the fruit produced in this original space, and this Tiankenja space, 2.5 acres of space. At least it's not difficult to earn a rent or something. Thinking of this, Zhang Cheng felt a little better. Chapter 2, 1,000 times faster. As an international metropolis, S city has a market for flowers, birds, fish, and insects, but it is rather troublesome to buy fruit trees that Zhang Cheng can use together. So he needs to go to some nurseries on the outskirts of the city. So Zhang Cheng simply took a day off and took the subway to the suburbs. No way, who makes the subway cheap and convenient? When I came to the outskirts of the city, Zhang Cheng had bought fruit trees here several times before, and he was quite familiar with it. Regarding the space of Tiankenja, Zhang Cheng also has some ideas and plans to plant some apple trees. One is that Zhang Cheng likes to eat apples, and the other is that the harvested apples may be directly and cheaply processed to the workers in the factory. Eliminate the problem of when it is time to sell. After some inquiries, apples are basically grown by grafting. Grafting is especially important for fruit trees, because some good varieties cannot be planted from seeds, but can only be grafted. After thinking about it, Zhang Cheng purchased 25 perennial rootstocks and a sufficient number of apple branches of good varieties for grafting. It cost Zhang Cheng 13,000. No way, if you want to save the growth time of fruit trees, you can't buy fruit tree seedlings of 3 yuan and 5 yuan each. Buying rootstocks of 3 or 4 years is naturally expensive, but this is also Zhang Cheng's desire to have a quick harvest. And only spend more money. Fortunately, fruit trees, plants, etc. in the space, as long as they are planted, they will basically survive without dying. Zhang Cheng is not very worried. Although the boss was a little worried about whether these rootstocks could survive and whether the grafting would be successful, he didn't say much. He spent another 500 yuan in freight, found a large truck, and transported the saplings to a warehouse that Zhang Cheng had temporarily rented for a week. No way, Zhang Cheng originally only wanted to rent for 1 day, but the boss refused to rent it, so he had to admit it. After the freight was settled, Zhang Chenmu's delivery truck driver drove away, turned over and returned to the warehouse, and closed the warehouse door tightly. Said to be a warehouse, it is an ordinary flat panel room, that is, it is relatively spacious. However, Zhang Cheng did not rush to tighten the space for the fruit trees. Instead, he raised his hand to turn off the lights in the warehouse, and then closed a few curtains in the warehouse to plunge the warehouse into darkness. Then he took out his mobile phone and turned on the camera. After wandering around a few times, there was no place where the red light was reflected. In other words, there are probably no cameras in the warehouse. No way, his practice of putting fruit trees in the space is really hard for others to discover. Just be more cautious. After probably confirming that there is no camera, Zhang Cheng thought. The fruit trees and grafted branches placed on the ground were all collected into the heavenly realm space. Then Zhang Cheng thought again, all the fruit trees were planted, and the apple branches were also grafted. After doing this, when Zhang Cheng was about to leave, a translucent prompt box suddenly popped up in front of him. There is not enough fertilizer in Tianquanjia space, so plants can't grow and are temporarily frozen. Zhang Cheng was taken aback by this. When he bought fruit trees, he bought 5 bags of organic fertilizers, a full 200 kilograms. What do you mean there is not enough fertilizer? In addition to the accident, Zhang Cheng's Inian entered the space and found something that surprised him. The fruit trees that have just been planted and have been pruned to a certain extent have grown lush, and the grafted apple branches have also begun to grow in good condition. What's the situation? Based on his planting experience in the original space, it would take at least a month to grow to this level. Why did this grow up? After thinking for a while, Zhang Cheng went directly to the fertilizer store to buy 100 bags of organic fertilizer. It would be impossible if he didn't buy too much. The 5 bags of organic fertilizer just now disappeared after a few steps. Once again, let the small truck pull the fertilizer to the warehouse, and Zhang Cheng put the fertilizer into the Tianquanjia space. Then he observed the situation in the space. Visible to the naked eye, the fruit trees in the space began to grow, and the grafted apple branches also began to bloom, bear fruit, and mature. In less than 4 hours, the fruit trees and apple branches that Zhang Cheng bought in the morning turned out to be fruitful. This made Zhang Cheng stunned. Of course, the consumption of fertilizers is also exaggerated. The first 5 bags and the later 100 bags, a total of 4,200 kilograms of fertilizer, used up a little over 1,300 kilograms. It's just that Zhang Cheng didn't care much, because the growth rate of apples really shocked Zhang Cheng. So this Tianquanjia space has an acceleration effect? And Zhang Cheng made a simple calculation in his heart, it may even be as much as 1,000 times. This is so shocking. 1 day for 3 years, 10 days for 30 years? I'll be nice. In addition to being shocked, Zhang Cheng felt his scalp tingle. This was the body's stress response when he was too excited. Before, he thought that this heavenly realm space, like the original space, could only grow some things, but what he didn't expect was that the time inside turned out to be 1,000 times faster. There are so many places to operate. Zhang Cheng thought of nearly 100 ways to use it for a while, but after thinking about it, Zhang Cheng first harvested the apples without delaying the continued growth of the apple tree, and then planned to exchange the harvested apples for points. 1,832 kilograms of apples, whether to exchange 0.0456 points. Looking at the message in the translucent prompt box in front of him, Zhang Cheng wanted to smash the table. It seems that even if the space is different, the rate of redeeming points is still the same. Calculated on an annual basis, n kilograms of apples can be harvested in 1 year, and the total value of points can be exchanged for 100 points. And the value of each kilogram of apples will be 100 divided by n, which is the reason why 1,800 kilograms of apples, nearly 2 tons, can only be exchanged for a pitiful 0.0456 points. The operation of redeeming points has been cancelled. Yu reading www.yuuganchu.com. Zhang Cheng sighed helplessly. The time in the Tiankenja space is 1,000 times the rate, and the rate of redeemable points is obviously still calculated according to the original space. However, after thinking about it, Zhang Cheng was not discouraged. Because even if the points are not exchanged, there are too many places to operate in the Tiankenja space with 1,000 times the speed. Thinking of this, Zhang Cheng was very excited. It's just that Zhang Cheng's face turned bitter. Because of his savings over the years, he almost spent it all just now. If you want to implement those operations, there is no foundation. Rubbing his face, Zhang Cheng thought for a while, then set up the Tiankenja space, and charged the ripe apples directly. It's so convenient. Then Zhang Cheng took out a freshly harvested apple and took a bite. Although it wasn't very delicious, it was not bad. After all, the variety of grafted apple branches that Zhang Cheng chose is quite good. This made Zhang Cheng smile with satisfaction. He looked at the darkening sky outside the house, and hurriedly returned to his residence. The next day, Zhang Cheng went to work. Sister Yu, do you want apples? $1 per pound. Sister Yu was Zhang Cheng's teacher after he entered the field. She was in charge of teaching him screw-driving skills. She is in her 30s and almost 40 this year. She has a son who is in high school. I was a little surprised to hear Zhang Cheng's words. Xiao Cheng, who are you? My friend's house has an apple orchard, which has had a bumper harvest recently, so I wondered if I could help him sell some. Zhang Chendao. When Sister Yu heard the words, she nodded, then give me 10 pounds. Although it's not much, she is supportive, and she didn't even ask about apple. Okay, I'll send it to you after get off work in the evening. Zhang Cheng said. Okay. Sister Yu chuckled. Chapter 3, Blind Date. I asked some acquaintances, this one costs 5 jins, the other 10 jins, although it is not much, but there are always several hundred jins. This is also Zhang Cheng's usual friendship with people, at least he can be trusted not to cheat people. In the end, however, Zhang Cheng took the initiative to stop this kind of bulk retailing. After all, it was too much trouble. Even if Zhang Cheng went back to get off work and got a tricycle, it would be more convenient to pull some apples out to sell. Get off work soon. Zhang Cheng came to the flower, bird, fish, and insect market. I am going to buy some ginseng seeds. There is 1,000 times the speed of Tiankenja space, so similar high-yield varieties become Zhang Cheng's better choice. Went into a store and asked the price, 10 yuan a capsule. Zhang Cheng turned his head and left. This was obviously cheating. I found another one, 5 yuan a piece. Zhang Cheng couldn't help but feel helpless. If it didn't take a certain amount of time for online shopping, he would definitely have done it online. But after negotiating the price, the boss gave him more than 100 grains and received 200 yuan. It's almost the same as online shopping. He asked about the lobular rosewood saplings or seeds. Only then did I know that the saplings are relatively expensive, especially those that have been grown for a certain year, but the seeds are cheap, and they even gave Jiang Cheng a handful of dozens of them. Jiang Cheng took the seeds and left. After arriving home, enter the Tiankenja space. After cleaning up all the apple trees, Jiang Cheng planted the seeds of ginseng and red sandalwood. Compared with apples, ginseng grows much slower, and it takes a few hours to take root and sprout and grow a small seedling. In other words, it takes half a year to germinate and grow branches and leaves. The lobular red sandalwood is slightly faster, but not by much. This made Jiang Cheng tut his tut, and then went to bed. The next day, Jiang Cheng got up early, borrowed the landlord's electric tricycle, and brought a carload of apple to work. Yesterday I asked for apples, and today I basically bought some, and I am very satisfied. After all, Jiang Cheng's apples are not bad, and they are basically 3 pieces in the market. The day's work is over. Jiang Cheng rides the electric tricycle to get off work. Passing by a fast food restaurant on the way, I bought a meal of rice, and after a few kinds of meat and vegetables, I bought a beer. After dinner, Jiang Cheng entered the Tiankenja space. After one day, 3 years have passed in the Tiankenja space. The lobular rosewood saplings have grown a lot, but they are just like weeds. On the contrary, the ginseng looks very lush. However, Jiang Cheng looked at the roots of ginseng through the soil, and they were still small. But Jiang Cheng was not in a hurry. Because if it is fast in 3 months, if it is slow in a year and a half, he will be able to gain something. And once it is harvested, it will be tens of millions, and maybe even don't know how many small goals. And compared to the big eaters who needed tons of fertilizer that day for apples, lobular red sandalwood and ginseng consumed almost no fertilizer. In one day, only a dozen caddies of fertilizer were used. This made Jiang Cheng very satisfied, and then he began to check the prices of lobular red sandalwood and ginseng on his mobile phone. After all, he was originally planting these to make money, and he wouldn't keep it in his hands, so he would sell it after half a year. Getting to know their messages now is also an early preparation. However, there are all kinds of information on the internet. Some say that there are thousands of red sandalwood leaves, some say hundreds of thousands or millions. But the finished material is definitely not cheap. This made Jiang Cheng feel a lot more comfortable. After get off work the next day, Jiang Cheng thought about it and borrowed the landlord's electric tricycle again. He put a truckload of apples, and planned to sell the tons of apples stored in the space. After all, I only eat this stuff myself, so I don't know when it will be eaten. The space owned by Jiang Cheng can be divided into planting space and storage space. The planting space is naturally the 2.5 acres of land. The storage space is the place where the storage space is harvested. It does not appear directly in front of Jiang Cheng. Accessing only requires a thought. At present, Jiang Cheng only knows that the storage space is static and static, what to put in and what to take out. Sample. However, the items stored in the storage space cannot be exchanged for space points. As for the size of its volume, Jiang Cheng is still unclear. At least a few tons of apples are easy to put away. On the street, Jiang Cheng stopped at a place where many vegetable and fruit stalls usually gather. Soon someone came up to ask the price, and when they heard that apples cost $1 a pound, the business immediately became very prosperous. In less than an hour, a truckload of more than 200 caddies of apples was sold out. This made Jiang Cheng smile and ride his bike home. For several days in a row, going to get off work during the day and selling apples after work, Jiang Cheng lived a very comfortable life. In particular, the ginseng and lobular red sandalwood in the Tiankenja space are growing, which makes Jiang Cheng even more happy. Xiao Cheng, my relatives have a daughter who is about the same age as you. You can meet me when you have time the day after tomorrow. After knowing that Jiang Cheng broke up with his girlfriend, she thought of introducing another one to this honest and diligent apprentice. There was no chance, so I immediately introduced Jiang Cheng. Jiang Cheng nodded when he heard the words, and see you when you see it. The day after tomorrow, Zhang Cheng shaved his head, took a shower, dressed up, put on a white cotton shirt and black trousers, and hurried to the place where he had made an appointment. The day before yesterday, Zhang Cheng added a WeChat account with Sister Yu's relatives and daughters, and chatted a few words. It felt okay, and that's why we met this time. Arrived at the agreed Hidai Lao. A woman in a pale pink dress stood aside, quietly looking at her phone. After thinking about it, Zhang Cheng walked over. How are you? The woman raised her head and looked at Zhang Cheng. Yu looked at www.yuyuganshu.com and nodded. Yes, I am Yu Duo. Are you Zhang Cheng? Zhang Cheng saw that the woman, although she wasn't pretty, she was just an ordinary girl, but she was more than enough for him. Yes, sorry to trouble you. Yu Duo smiled lightly. You are too polite. When they met for the first time, they both had a good impression anyway. Then let's eat first. Zhang Cheng said with a smile. Yu Duo nodded and agreed with Zhang Cheng's arrangement. Into the river bottom fishing. The waiter probably saw that the two had just met, so they took them to a quieter corner. I ordered some meat and vegetarian dishes. Zhang Chendao, my name is Zhang Cheng, I am 26 years old and unmarried. I had 2 girlfriends before, but they both broke up. I have no bad habits, no debts, no house or car, and I am currently working in the Sunshine Screw Factory. Ordinary workers get about 5,500 a month. Yu Duo laughed again after listening to Zhang Cheng's self-introduction. Hello, my name is Yu Duo, I am 25 years old this year, unmarried, and have no bad hobbies. I have a petty bourgeoisie that is still providing loans. Now I work in Yueguang Electronics Factory as a quality inspector. I get about 7,000 yuan a month. He even imitated Zhang Cheng's self-introduction and explained his own situation. This made Zhang Cheng also laugh. Chatting casually, after dinner, the two separated. Then when she went to work the next day, Sister Yu reported the news, but it didn't work. She didn't feel anything about facing Zhang Cheng. After all, such a result is not too surprising, because Zhang Cheng's conditions are considered poor in S city. Basically, don't think about buying a house, because even a house in a relatively poor location can go up to almost 100,000 per square meter. Chapter 4, Selling Ginseng. After get off work the next day, Zhang Cheng entered the Tiankenja space and dug a ginseng after thinking. After the thought completes the drying process, take it out of the space and wrap it with the prepared cotton cloth. Although it's not even 100 years old ginseng, Zhang Cheng is going to take this ginseng to the road. I came to the Chinese medicine street in S city. It's relatively remote. If Zhang Cheng didn't ask about it, he wouldn't be able to find it. Boss, do you guys accept ginseng? Walking into a pharmacy full of medicinal fragrance, Zhang Cheng directly stated his intention. Can you let me take a look first? The boss, a man in his 40s, looked at Zhang Cheng a little and asked. Zhang Cheng nodded, took out his ginseng and put it on the counter. The man carefully untied the cotton cloth, and when he saw the ginseng inside, there was a look of surprise in his eyes. Big is quite big, like a radish, but it should be garden ginseng. When weighed, it turned out to be 187 grams. The man smacked his lips. I can give you 200. After speaking, the man put the ginseng back on the cotton cloth and pushed it back to Zhang Cheng. Zhang Cheng was taken aback when he heard the words, "Didn't you say that ginseng is quite expensive?" The man smiled when he heard the words, "Ginseng is expensive, but wild ginseng is expensive. Yours is artificially grown. Although it is a few years old, it is not very valuable. And it is not easy to sell." Although the man said the truth, there seemed to be nothing to deceive people, but Zhang Cheng nodded and put away the ginseng. It's impossible to sell it for 200 yuan. The man saw that Zhang Cheng had put away the ginseng, and a strange color flashed in his eyes. So, how about I give you another 200? I'll ask again. Jiang Cheng walked out of the pharmacy with a smile. In the pharmacy, after the man watched Jiang Cheng leave, his face became ugly. Although Jiang Cheng was planting ginseng, which is commonly known as garden ginseng, it would take at least 30 years for him to grow to this size. Especially when passing hands, the smell is very positive. So even if it is garden ginseng, the price will not be low. I dare not say 108,000, but 35,000 is still very easy. After all, it is a good thing. It's just a pity, the other party is very clever and has no intention of dealing with it cheaply. I asked several pharmacies one after another, but basically they offered 300 and 500 or 800,000. This made Jiang Cheng a little depressed. Is this ginseng really so worthless? Of course, in fact, it is not bad to pay 1,000 yuan, because if you charge twice a month, 200 or 300 plants at a time, then it will be hundreds of thousands, nearly 1 million. It's just that it's still a long way from Jiang Cheng's goal. And according to Jiang Cheng's vision, it is absolutely impossible for him to ship such a fast and large amount, because such a large amount of ginseng that has been sold for decades, even planting ginseng, will attract some unnecessary attention. And even have some trouble. Therefore, 1 in 3 or 5 days, or even 1 in 10.5 months, is a more suitable shipment. Then the price of a single ginseng has to be a bit tricky. After thinking about it, Jiang Cheng walked into a pharmacy again. A young woman is standing behind the counter, fiddling with her cell phone. Miuage is generally used to describe a young girl. It's just that although the young woman in front of her looks like she is 30 years old, she still has a youthful air. The combination of maturity and youth is obviously a carefree growth, which can only be raised by ignoring firewood, rice, oil, and salt. The young woman noticed Jiang Cheng coming in, put away her phone and said, "Hello, what do you need? Do you accept ginseng here?" Jiang Cheng asked. Although he has almost given up his expectations, he has to visit the shops in this Chinese medicine street. The young woman nodded when she heard the words, "Take it." Jiang Cheng heard the words and handed over the cotton cloth wrapped with ginseng. The young woman took it and untied it. When I saw ginseng, I couldn't help but be taken aback. So big. Hearing the young woman's words, Jiang Cheng felt a little itchy in his throat, so he hurriedly bowed his head. Fortunately, the young woman's attention was on ginseng, and she didn't notice Jiang Cheng's gaffe. After looking at the ginseng for a moment, the young woman raised her head and looked at Jiang Cheng. "I can't make a price for this ginseng. I have to call my father. Can you wait a moment?" "How long?" Jiang Cheng sat down and asked. The young woman smiled lightly, "It won't take a few minutes." Then she made a phone call. A few minutes later, an old man with half-white hair walked into the pharmacy. "Dad, take a look at this big ginseng," the young woman said coquettishly. "It seems that I am a little annoyed that I can't judge the value of this ginseng." The old man nodded to Jiang Cheng, then walked to the counter and saw ginseng, which was also an accident. This ginseng is obviously a garden ginseng. Can it still be so big after drying? If you didn't make it, wouldn't it cost a kilo or two? After looking at it for a while, the old man made a little judgment on the price of this ginseng. "Hello, we can sell this ginseng for 30,000 yuan. "Oh?" Jiang Cheng, who had no hope at first, flashed a look of joy in his eyes. Although it still didn't meet his expectations, at least it had something to do with the price of ginseng. "My ginseng is decades old. The implication is that the price is cheap." Hearing this, the old man smiled and nodded, "Yes, even a garden ginseng can't grow to such a big size in a few decades. It's just that it is a garden ginseng after all. The most effective ginseng is the saponin it contains. And with the growth of the years, reading www.uuganju. The effect of calm saponins is better. This is also the main reason why the price of ginseng last year often shocked people's attention. But first there is a premise, it has to be wild ginseng. If it wasn't for wild ginseng, even if Jiang Cheng took out this ginseng that weighed half a catty, the price wouldn't be so expensive, it would be hard to beat 100,000. Jiang Cheng smacked his lips helplessly. Seeing this, the old man pondered for a while. Well, I'll give you another 10,000 to make up 40,000, how about it? I have more than one. Jiang Cheng said ghostly. The old man was stunned when he heard the words. There is more than one ginseng in such a large garden? Although the young man in front of him may have said this on purpose to raise the price, he frowned and thought for a moment. I'll give you another 5,000, 40,000, and 5, how about that? The old man said. You are so happy to increase the price, you are not afraid of greed in my heart. Jiang Cheng laughed. The old man couldn't help but rejoice, that's why this ginseng root has no fate with me. How do you say it? Jiang Cheng said in surprise. I'm going to soak some medicinal wine recently, and this big ginseng is just right for it. The old man said. Jiang Cheng nodded when he heard the words. It turned out that the old gentleman planned to use it for his own use. No wonder the bid was so fierce. Okay, 45,000 is 45,000. The old man smiled lightly and carefully put away the ginseng. Such large ginseng, even garden ginseng, is rare. The young woman added Jiang Cheng's small letter, and earned 45,000 yuan in splits. Jiang Cheng received the money and looked at Xiaoxin's wallet, which broke through 5 digits for the first time, and Jiang Cheng couldn't help but feel happy. Then I'll say goodbye. Walk slowly. The old man nodded. Chapter 5, Money that can't be spent. Although he continued to search, he might not be able to find a higher bid than this, but after thinking about it, Jiang Cheng still did not intend to continue. On the one hand, the price is barely acceptable. In addition, this 15-day fast-growing ginseng can be sold for this price, which is enough for Jiang Cheng to change his living conditions. Because if all of them are sold according to this situation, then Jiang Cheng's monthly income can reach an astonishing 20 million yuan. Of course, if you really do this, there will be problems in sales. After all, there are not many people who will spend 45,000 to buy a radishized garden ginseng. But even if one sells one a month, it's 45,000. Compared with Jiang Cheng's salary of 5,000 a month, which is less than 6,000, it has increased nearly tenfold. Humming a little tune, Jiang Cheng returned to his residence. At the same time, he brought back 2 pig ears, half a catty of braised pork head, 2 chicken feet, and a piece of beer. When I was going upstairs, I met Uncle Jiang, the landlord. Uncle Jiang, let's have a drink together. Jiang Cheng invited. The landlord shares the same surname as Jiang Cheng, and they might have been a family 500 years ago. Because of this relationship, as well as some getting along in the rental house, Jiang Cheng has a good relationship with the landlord, Uncle Jiang. Uncle Jiang smiled when he heard the words, in the evening, I have to look at the store later. Uncle Jiang has a daughter who opened a bakery with her husband using Uncle Zhang's facade, and the old couple goes to help from time to time. Jiang Cheng is not reluctant, and he is reluctant to come. He smiled and said, yes. When he got home, Jiang Cheng drank and ate meat while watching the live broadcast. He was so happy. Jiang Cheng couldn't help but be stunned after just a few swipes. Entertainment nan. Even after a lot of beautification and makeup, how could Jiang Cheng not recognize his ex-girlfriend after 2 years of getting along? Why did Nan live broadcast? What's more, dancing is so saucy? Forgive Jiang Cheng's lack of culture, he can only use such an adjective. All of a sudden, Jiang Cheng lost his taste in drinking. The reason for the breakup at the beginning was not to say that the two of them cheated or something, but that both sides were boring, but for 2 years, they slept in one room and ate at one table. To be honest, there is no emotion at all. How is it possible? Even if you have a dog, after 2 years, you will be very close, okay? Brothers in the live broadcast room, please help Nan Nan with a gift to support him. Dan Nan danced with the accompaniment, and Nan Nan leaned down and covered the scenery in front of her chest with her hands, speaking into the microphone. After hearing the voice, Zhang Cheng was even more sure that this was his ex-girlfriend. And seeing the sparse few people on the gift list, the first one on the list only has 19,000 golden beans, which is 19 yuan. Let Zhang Cheng know that the income of his ex-girlfriend's live broadcast room is not good. Sighing, Zhang Cheng opened the recharge interface. There is even a first rush discount. Thanks to the society, Brother Cheng, who opened the Sword Emperor. Zhang Cheng just made a few operations when Nan Nan's excited voice sounded in the live broadcast room. Sword Emperor is actually the honorific title of swordsman, the lowest aristocratic title on the live broadcast platform. Just because the swordsman has the title of the highest aristocrat, the emperor, and the same 10% of the recharge amount is given away, and among the swordsmen, there will be some big brothers who are arrogant from time to time. Over time, the swordsman became the Sword King. Then, an angel with small wings flew slowly through the live broadcast room. Wow, thank you Brother Cheng for the angel. Nan Nan became excited again. Angel, a gift worth 1,000 yuan. The more expensive miracle of 5,000 yuan. Cheaper ones include a 300 yuan banknote gun, a 99 yuan hot pot, a 66 yuan guardian badge, a 6.6 yuan trophy, a 1 yuan star, and a 0.1 yuan light stick. As for the 11,000 flying dragons, it is an exclusive gift only for the emperor's boss. A poor guy like Zhang Cheng couldn't even see it on the gift selection interface. And an angel is already the most valuable gift Nan Nan has received since the broadcast. Do you want to dance, eldest brother? The anchor dances very nicely. Nan Nan said again, obviously already understanding how to create the atmosphere and how to win over eldest brother. However, Zhang Cheng sighed softly, restrained his past feelings, exited the live broadcast room, and continued to swipe his phone. Looking at the VIP seats, my brother Cheng's name disappeared without a trace, and Nan Nan's expression froze. Procedure? Is it Zhang Cheng? After squinting for a long time, Zhang Cheng threw away his mobile phone and rubbed his face hard. It stands to reason that if you are reluctant, you can just chase it back. It's just that Zhang Cheng didn't plan to do this. On the one hand, the space finally began to play a role. He was about to make a fortune, and it was foreseeable that it would definitely get better and better in the future, and he could make waves. What are you doing to get your ex-girlfriend back? In addition, Nan Nan actually became an anchor, which made him feel very uncomfortable. Live broadcast. If it's a game host or something, it's okay to say, playing games or something, but this star show host is scratching his head. Of course, Zhang Cheng does not deny that he is scumbag. Sighed and picked up the phone. There was no movement for a long time before I glanced at it, but just now I sent him a message asking him if he was in the live broadcast room with a message from my brother Cheng. Zhang Cheng directly deleted the small letter from his ex-girlfriend. Then he put the phone aside again, lay down on the sofa, and stared blankly at the ceiling. But after a few minutes, Zhang Cheng felt that he couldn't continue to be depressed like this, so he simply took a coat and walked out of the house. In October, the city of S has become a little cooler. Take the subway to the city center. Looking at the high-rise buildings in front of him, Zhang Cheng's eyes gradually brightened. Set a small goal and spend all the 45,000 yuan that you just sold ginseng. Walking into the Red Star movement on the side of the road, Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com bought a few pieces of autumn clothes and a pair of shoes. The total is less than 700. As a domestic product, Hungxing's clothes, shoes, underwear, socks, and other things are of good quality and cheap, and they are completely worthy of conscience 2 words. However, there are flaws in the design, and it doesn't feel like it's very classy. But it's still comfortable to wear. As a screw-driving worker, Zhang Cheng doesn't have high requirements, as long as he is comfortable, Hong Xing is very suitable. After buying clothes and shoes, and walking out of the Red Star movement, Zhang Cheng was immediately at a loss. Because what else is there to consume? As for the car, the subway basically meets the daily needs. Even if there are occasional things, various taxi software are also very convenient. Therefore, the demand for cars has almost no effect except for pretending. And for 40,000 yuan, I can't afford any luxury cars, at most one wheel. As for watches, Zhang Cheng never had the habit of wearing them since he was a child. And it's the reason just now, only 40,000, and I can afford any luxury watch. Suddenly, Zhang Cheng lost his consumption target. To put it simply, I am used to being poor, and I don't want to spend money if I don't know. Even if I decided to spend all the money selling ginseng when I came out, I scratched my head for a while. In the end, Zhang Chenji gritted his teeth and stomped his feet. Go to eat seafood. I went to a well-known restaurant and asked for a 2 pound lobster. It's just that after Zhang Cheng, a poor man, eats it in his mouth, he feels that it is not as good as crayfish. Of course, the taste and so on are also quite fresh. But after all, it makes people feel sorry for its price. Because of this price, it was enough for Zhang Cheng to eat more than 20 meals. But in the future, if you bring a girl or something, you can come here for a meal. Chapter 6, Resignation. A few days passed in a blink of an eye. Zhang Cheng glanced at Tiankenja space after get off work. Then I unexpectedly discovered that the size of the ginseng planted was actually shrinking. What's the situation? In the past, ginseng was like a radish. One was bigger than the other. Why is it smaller now? Is there something wrong? However, when I looked up the information about ginseng before, what I knew was that the 100-year-old wild ginseng is only about 1 or 2 after drying, that is, about 50 grams. So this is after ginseng grows to a certain stage. Is it returning to its original state? This is possible. So Zhang Cheng didn't do anything superfluous. He just dug out about 50 ginsengs, which are now almost 60 years old. After drying, he collected them into the storage space, and then planted the ginseng seeds that were automatically harvested in the space. Sell ginseng. You can't just sell the best quality, the excellent quality, and the general quality, you have to have it. After finishing this, Zhang Cheng exited the space. Then, when I saw my phone, Xioxin sent a message. Picking it up and looking at it, it turned out to be the young woman who sold ginseng a few days ago. Her little letter name is also very characteristic. Who is not yet a baby? Are there? Is there any more ginseng? The information is simple and clear, but you still ask to buy ginseng? Zhang Cheng was a little surprised and returned the information. Soon the phone came. Hello, my name is Fang Yan. When you sold us a piece of ginseng some time ago, didn't you say there was still one? Did you sell it? A crisp voice came from the other end of the phone. Zhang Cheng blinked, yes. Then do you intend to take action? The young woman Fang Yan asked again eagerly. Zhang Cheng scratched his chin. Is there something wrong with eating? Or does it work well? Then the price this time can't just be that much. That's fine, how about our interview? Fang Yan said. Zhang Cheng was a little surprised, but after thinking about it, he still went to the pharmacy. When Zhang Cheng walked into the pharmacy, he unexpectedly found that there were not only Fang Yan and her father, but also a few elderly people who seemed to have some money in the pharmacy. And after seeing Zhang Cheng come in, his eyes lit up. What's the situation? Fang Yan's father, who had spent 45,000 to buy ginseng, came up with a smile on his face. Hello, young man, my name is Fang Tan, the owner of this pharmacy. I have received your ginseng before. Zhang Cheng nodded. It had only been a few days, so he wouldn't be so forgetful. Please take a seat. The old man Fang Tan led Zhang Cheng to the counter and sat down. Young man, the ginseng you said you sold to me before is still available, do you know if you brought it? Jiang Cheng heard the words, took out the ginseng wrapped in red cloth from the plastic bag in his hand, and put it on the counter. Seeing this, the old man's eyes lit up. He carefully opened the package, looked at it for a while and nodded in satisfaction. Young man, I don't lie to you. I used your ginseng to make a jar of wine before, and I drank the jar of wine with a few old friends 2 days ago. I didn't expect that this time the wine not only tasted good, and after drinking it, my body feels a lot more comfortable, so I am cheeky and want to buy another one from you. The old man said very frankly. As the owner of a pharmacy, the old man still knows how to check the pulse and so on, and it is precisely because he knows that he can realize that his body has indeed improved a lot, not only in terms of diet and sleep, but also the whole body. Both have greatly improved, as if 5 years younger. So after speculating and determining that it was probably ginseng, Fang Tan invited Jiang Cheng. Yes, I have always had the habit of insomnia, but I didn't expect that after drinking that jar of medicinal wine, I would sleep comfortably that day. Another old man stepped forward and said. Seeing Jiang Cheng's doubts, the old man laughed, my name is Yan Su. Hello, Uncle Yan. Jiang Cheng greeted quickly. The old man Yan Su smiled and nodded. So you see, we bid 100,000 for this ginseng, how about that? Fang Tan continued the conversation just now. 100,000? It seems good. Old Fang, why are you so stingy? 300,000 yuan. Yan Su waved his hand and directly raised the price of 200,000 yuan. In fact, let alone 300,000, even millions of 100-year-old wild ginseng will not have such an obvious and intuitive effect. Fang Tan couldn't help laughing bitterly when he heard this. Yes, I also became a villain. When Jiang Cheng heard the price of 300,000 yuan, although he knew that it might not be the highest price that several old people could accept, he did not intend to exhaust the water. At least these few people who don't look ordinary know that his ginseng is definitely not a one-shot deal. So immediately, Jiang Cheng nodded and said, okay, 300,000 will do, thank you Uncle Yan. Ha ha ha, you're a good boy. Yan Su laughed, patted Jiang Cheng's shoulder in a big way, and asked him to transfer money directly. Soon, Jiang Cheng received a transfer message from the bank. 300,000 has been transferred to his bank card. Then I won't bother you, goodbye. Jiang Cheng got up and left. These old men don't seem to be simple people. Jiang Cheng is the one who screwed the screws, and he probably has nothing in common with them. Although he has a relationship with selling ginseng, he forced them to chat with them. Strength. Let's go. Okay, see you later. Yan Su said cheerfully. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Leaving the pharmacy, Jiang Cheng looked up at the sky. There was no sun today, it was cloudy. However, he was in a rather happy mood. After all, if he takes a trip, he gets 300,000 yuan, and after so many times, he can consider settling down in S City. Oh roar! But for now, Jiang Cheng feels that he should quit his job first. After all, screws every day, how can he fit into a big man with a net worth of more than 300,000 yuan? Thinking of this, Jiang Cheng didn't hesitate, he went directly to the factory and offered to resign. For Jiang Cheng's resignation, the workshop director was not surprised, and he readily signed and agreed. Compared with other jobs, what needs to be handed over, and what needs to be done until the end of the month, the work of screws doesn't need to be that troublesome at all, and you can just quit. However, there is no such thing as a full attendance award. Xiao Cheng, why did you resign? As an old employee, Sister Yu's information is still very well informed. At least that's true in the factory. Hehe, I found a different way. Jiang Cheng said embarrassedly. Although he was only a senior at work, Jiang Cheng would naturally not notice that Ji Yu regarded him as a younger brother. Sister Yu couldn't help frowning. Zhang Cheng has high school culture, what kind of way can he find? This is not to look at people through the cracks of the elder sister's door, but this is how this society is. Either have a good education, knowledge, or a family with good conditions, you can try and make many mistakes, otherwise ordinary people want to upgrade their class, it is still very difficult. Difficult. To put it simply, Sister Yu was afraid that Zhang Cheng would be deceived. Can you tell sister, what is the way? Sister Yu said. Upside down the ginseng. Zhang Cheng said with a smile. Sister Yu was immediately stunned, and shrugged. Ginseng? What the hell? Chapter 7, Xiang. The fame of ginseng is so big that Sister Yu doesn't know it, but she also vaguely knows that ginseng is different from ginseng. Not only is the price of $1 a piece less expensive than a carrot, but there is also a price of millions of dollars. The ginseng king that is hundreds of times more than gold. So it is doomed that the water in the ginseng industry is quite deep. So pouring ginseng, is this reliable? Seeing the surprised expression on Sister Yu's face, Zhang Cheng smiled lightly and said nothing. After all, he can't say that he has a space of 1,000 times the speed of an hour. After leaving the screw factory, Zhang Cheng's time suddenly increased. Every day in the city of S, looking at the scenery, visiting the market, and finding a tea house or something to fight pesticides, the joy of life has quietly lifted a corner of the veil. I thought about where to eat at night and what delicious food to try. Zhang Cheng entered the Tiankenja space again. In space, calculate the passage of almost 100 years. The lobular red sandalwood already looks like a sapling. But it is still a long way to go. Because the little leaf red sandalwood can only become a talent after 1,000 years, and there is a saying that an inch of sandalwood is an inch of gold, because its growth is extremely slow. Even if there is 1,000 times the speed of the Tiankenja space, I am afraid that it will take a year in reality to have an appearance. But Zhang Cheng is not in a hurry, at least the income from selling ginseng is enough to make him happy. These days, Zhang Cheng had no interest in watching Xingziu because of his ex-girlfriend's live broadcast. Now that he finally recovered, Zhang Cheng opened the Xingziu category on the live broadcast software again. He likes to see the thighs and enchanting postures of all the beauties in star shows, but he definitely doesn't like his women scratching their heads on them. Said that he was masculine or anything, but this was Zhang Cheng's idea, and there was no compromise. After swiping a few times, a heroine who looked quite Zhou Zhang appeared in front of her. Enter the live broadcast room. Well, beauty doesn't seem to be that serious. Of course, this is just Zhang Cheng's judgment, not necessarily true. Welcome to the society, my brother Cheng. The anchor gave a casual welcome. After all, the name is too old, and a little swordsman is not worth making a fuss about. Zhang Cheng nodded and looked at the anchor's position. The anchor is in Shanghai. Yes. The anchor named Xiang said perfunctorily. Come out for a meal. Zhang Cheng said. After all, he is a young man in his 20s. When he has no money, he can solve it by himself. Now that he has money, of course he doesn't want to treat himself badly. The anchor can't go out. Xiang said reluctantly. When Zhang Cheng heard this, he immediately understood that this was because he didn't buy a gift. Immediately, an angel sent it out. Xiang couldn't help but be taken aback. Is this the big brother? When his face changed, he immediately complimented. Thank you, brother Cheng's angel. Does brother Cheng want to add a small letter? Zhang Cheng chatted privately about his small signal, and soon a friend request with a beautiful avatar was sent. After agreeing, Xiang directly sent a message, Brother Cheng, I'm sorry just now, I have eyes but don't know Mount Tai. It's alright, are you coming out? Zhang Cheng didn't hide it, he almost made it clear. During the live broadcast, Xiang's face suddenly became embarrassed. She is not only afraid of offending her elder brother, but also does not want to make herself so cheap. Brother, can you play 4 more angels? There is nothing wrong with Zhang Cheng. After he has some money, he doesn't want to buy a car, the watch is boring, and he can't spend much on food and clothing. At least it can't be spent on Zhang Cheng's current vision. In terms of living, it's not something that Zhang Cheng can afford with his current money. Solved, so pay. Directly, 4 angels were brushed out. On Xiangxiang's side, the screen went black. Just when Zhang Cheng thought that the other party was going to let go of the pigeons, Xiaoxin sent a message and made an appointment to meet. Zhang Cheng smiled lightly and went to the appointment. Then it was pretty cool. After all, it is Zhang Cheng's carefully selected target. She has a good figure and is very beautiful. She is a goddess that Zhang Cheng could not reach in the past. Brother Cheng, you are amazing. Xiangxiang's eyes were full of admiration, but she didn't know how much of it was true or not. Zhang Cheng lightly patted Xiangxiang's clean back. As the old saying goes, there are only cows dead from exhaustion, and no fields that have been plowed badly. So he doesn't take compliments seriously, he knows for himself that in terms of men and women, he is just an ordinary person. I just hope that in the future, the Tiankenja space, or other spaces obtained after upgrading, will have something good come out. Brother Cheng, will you still watch my live broadcast in the future? Xiang asked cautiously. Zhang Cheng glanced at Yan Xiang. This woman was very decisive, even though she just received a gift, which made her a lot more popular, but she didn't delay anything, she just came out. This made Zhang Cheng very satisfied. Then he took out his mobile phone, opened Xiaoxin, and prepared to give Xiang a little transfer. Brother Cheng, you misunderstood me, I'm not asking for money. Xiang said anxiously. Honey, take it if you give it to you. Although Zhang Cheng knew that if he really didn't give the money, Xiang would definitely be dissatisfied, but he didn't do that. Xiang heard the words and nodded hesitantly. Zhang Cheng transferred 20,000 directly. Seeing the amount, Xiang was stunned. She thought that the maximum amount was the 5,000 she swiped in her live broadcast room before, and it would be great to collect 10,000, but she did not expect that Zhang Cheng would get 20,000 as soon as he made a move. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Cheng, Brother Cheng, I'm not worth so much. Xiang said in a depressed mood. As a woman who has been mixed in the society, Xiang is self-aware. Don't look at the news that there are always hundreds of thousands, millions of betrothal gifts, but that's because the family itself is in that class. If it was an ordinary screw-driving worker, would he open his mouth for a betrothal gift of hundreds of thousands? I can go to yours. The brain is flooded. There are hundreds of thousands. In a small 4th and 5th tier city, you can live quite comfortably. What kind of daughter-in-law can't be found? So news is always just news, it's really stupid. In this world, rich people are always only a very small part. And beautiful women can't be said to be everywhere, but they're not uncommon. Because as long as it's a young girl with a little makeup, she's a beauty. So as an anchor, after Zhang Cheng sent out 5 angels, Xiang didn't hold back at all. She wants to catch this eldest brother. Of course, if she can't catch it, she can't do anything, but she has to work hard. After all, there are very few rich people, and there are even fewer rich people who will spend money on live broadcasts to give high-value gifts to anchors. Don't look at some big anchors, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions, tens of millions of gift lists. But how many such anchors are there? Among the countless anchors, those with extremely high incomes only account for 1/1000th, or even 1/10,000th. You even have to rule out some of the shares that you brush for yourself. Zhang Cheng looked at Xiang, he was very satisfied with the interaction just now, otherwise he wouldn't drop 20,000 directly. If you give it to you, take it. Looking at the domineering man in front of her, Xiang Xiang submissively indented into the quilt. Chapter 8, Shopping for clothes. The next day, Zhang Cheng woke up refreshed. After all, he was young, even though he had a lot of interactions yesterday, he didn't feel tired. Wake up! But Xiang Xiang woke up a little earlier than Zhang Cheng. Hearing Zhang Cheng's words, Xiang Xiang nodded repeatedly. Then get up and go have something to eat. Zhang Cheng said, his stomach was croaking with hunger now. Not to mention getting up and taking a shower, the two went to the hotel's breakfast room. Yesterday, Zhang Cheng and Xiang Xiang stayed at a chain hotel, which was okay. At least the housing environment and the corresponding catering services are very good. After looking at the breakfast provided in the breakfast room, I asked Xiang Xiang again. Zhang Cheng came back with a plate. A few cages of samai, a bowl of soy milk, a bowl of rice porridge, a few plates of pickles, and of course the indispensable sesame paste. Xiang Xiang sat in the seat and was served by Zhang Cheng. Although she said before that she would do these chores, Zhang Cheng refused. She didn't even need to intervene in things like setting the plate. If Zhang Cheng just wanted to find a temporary good friend and help each other before the meeting, then after Xiangxiang's wholehearted service yesterday, he would inevitably have some long-term ideas. After all, Zhang Cheng enjoyed his tenderness here at Xiangxiang yesterday. Xiangxiang completely focused on Zhang Cheng, no matter whether it was cooperation or posture, he didn't say anything. This is something that Zhang Cheng never enjoyed with his ex-girlfriend before. After all, when the ex-girlfriend interacted, either here or there, he didn't care about Zhang Cheng's feelings at all. It was also Zhang Cheng who had just felt the fun of spending money. If it was a rich second generation or some powerful person, even a man with a quick tongue would only take it for granted, and it was basically impossible to have any influence. Eat, isn't it to your taste? Do you want anything else? Zhang Cheng picked up the chopsticks, and when he saw that Xiang Xiang didn't make a move, he couldn't help asking. Xiang Xiang was a little embarrassed, thinking that Zhang Cheng was too good to her. It's a pity that these are just ordinary men's daily care for their girlfriends. It's just because Zhang Cheng gave 20,000 casually yesterday, which greatly increased Xiangxiang's feelings about these ordinary care. No, these are delicious. Xiang Xiang said. She glanced at the menu just now, and after a rough estimate, she knew that the seemingly simple meal in front of her cost 300 or 400 yuan. This has been her week. The cost of meals. At the entrance of Shanghai, Zhang Cheng's eyes flashed with surprise. He had eaten this kind of breakfast more than once, but this time, both the pork and the ingredients were very fragrant. With the sesame sauce for dipping, the fragrance was more mellow than usual. It makes the whole siomai taste very good. At least in the future, when you don't know what to eat for breakfast, you should be able to make do with it here. Xiang Xiang followed and took a mouthful of samai, with surprise in her eyes. Obviously, she seldom eats such delicious food. I'll buy you some clothes after dinner. Zhang Cheng said. Xiang Xiang was stunned when she heard the words, then nodded obediently. After dinner, Zhang Cheng brought Xiang Xiang to the city center. There are many well-known international brand stores here, especially all kinds of women's clothing, which is dizzying. After all, the best money to make is women's money, whether it's cosmetics, clothes, shoes, leather bags, or some skincare products. No matter how expensive the price is, women won't frown when they buy them. Xiangxiang's previous environment was that of ordinary people. Even on the internet and in short videos, she had seen the lives of rich people and heard how the local tyrants spend a lot of money, but she has never had such an experience. When I came to such a bustling road, I suddenly felt that my legs were a little soft, and I couldn't help but get close to Zhang Cheng. Zhang Cheng glanced at Xiang Xiang and knew that the other party was a little nervous. In fact, if he had no money before, Zhang Cheng would not have come here at all, and even if he came, his performance would not have been better than Xiang Xiang. The unit price of tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands makes ordinary people simply do not have the courage to walk into these shops. As for long-term knowledge, it is more limited to the ideas that only a few people have. Any brand you like? Zhang Cheng asked. Xiang shook her head quickly when she heard the words. Although her clothes and shoes were not cheap, the most expensive ones were in the thousands. After all, her previous environment was that of an ordinary person, earning 3,000 to 5,000 a month. Zhang Cheng was also scratching his head when he heard the words. He was wearing nothing except Hongxing's sportswear. When it comes to wearing, Zhang Cheng has always pursued comfort. As for the style and brand of the clothes, what's the point? Zhang Cheng had this idea when he had no money before, but now he has some money, and it is foreseeable that he will have more money in the future, but this idea is still the same. Clothes, the first requirement is to wear comfortable, and then clean and tidy, that is its full function. As for brands and styles, they are all unnecessary things, not to mention that as long as you pursue style clothes, there is basically no comfortable wearing. However, in terms of women's clothing, reading www.yuyuganshu.com can slightly reduce the comfort level and pursue style. Because it looks a little different from men's clothes that are clean and tidy, women's clothes are about the same as a soldier's armor. A set of suitable clothes, combined with makeup and other aspects, can enhance a woman's appearance and temperament a lot, and even raise it by one or even several grades. That's why women spend so much money on dressing up. After all, who would do something that doesn't work? Do women have no brains? Joke. So after thinking about it, Zhang Cheng didn't take Xiang to a store like Hongxing to buy some sportswear, outdoor clothes, etc., and went directly to a well-known domestic women's clothing brand store. Welcome to Zinkan. The waiter, who was taller than Xiang, bowed respectfully when Zhang Cheng brought Xiang to the door. Although this kind of welcome will make some people feel very comfortable, feel respected and become a superior person, it will also make others feel disgusted. But it's not enough to not do these bells and whistles, because foreign brand stores do this, you may lose potential customers if you don't do it. At least Zhang Cheng frowned slightly, feeling a little repulsive. After all, it's just a purchase, so what are you doing here? But I also know that the other party is a job, so I can't blame it. Go into the store. Under the warm lighting, the women's clothing sold in the store looks very beautiful and high grade. Not to mention others, Zhang Cheng looks pretty good. Help my girlfriend match a few sets of autumn clothes. Zhang Cheng said directly to the waiter who greeted him in the store. Okay. The waiter's eyes lit up and hurriedly responded. Chapter 9, Dinner. The next step is to try on the clothes. Zhang Cheng was sitting on the sofa in the store. After a while, Xiang returned to Zhang Cheng accompanied by the waiter. The burgundy coat was covered with a white shirt, with a pair of flesh-colored stockings on her calf, which looked like she was wearing nothing, and a pair of black high-heeled shoes, which made Xiang, who was a little short, instantly taller. The small yellow leather bag in her right hand made Xiang even more pretty. I bought it. Zhang Cheng waved his hand. After a while, Xiang came back in another outfit. A goose yellow top, white trousers, matching white shoes of the same color, and a palm-sized handbag make Xiang a different style. I bought it. Zhang Cheng said again. In the following time, Zhang Cheng bought 4 sets in a row, and the total cost was less than 100,000. Although the domestic brand is a relatively well-known brand, the price of a single product is not very expensive, and it is affordable for girls in ordinary families. Good eyesight. After paying the money, Zhang Cheng praised the waiter. The clothes the other party gave Xiang made him feel very beautiful, and he came out of the brand store with Xiang with weak legs. Just leave an address, the store is responsible for home delivery. Cheng, brother Cheng, you. After walking out of the brand store, Xiang didn't know what to say after hesitating. Zhang Cheng glanced at Xiang, can we not broadcast live in the future? If it's just a temporary good friend who helps each other, of course Jiang Cheng won't meddle in his own business, but since he wants to develop a long-term relationship, then Jiang Cheng feels that he should take care of it. But the empty mouth is white, saying that if Xiang is not broadcast live, how can she have such a big face? Hence the consumption just now. Although it's not amazing, but after buying more than 90,000 yuan of clothes, Jiang Cheng felt that he could make some requests to Xiang. Xiang was stunned for a moment when she heard the words, and nodded after she had almost no thought. Okay, Brother Cheng told me not to broadcast live, then I will not broadcast live. Rubbing the small head of this obedient woman, Jiang Cheng bought Xiang some good brand cosmetics or something. Go back to the hotel and enter the room. Looking at the room full of clothes, shoes, and cosmetics, Xiang was instantly moved and her eyes widened. Immediately, Jiang Cheng enjoyed another wave. When it was over, even Jiang Cheng, a young man, felt sore back and weak legs. This is also what Jiang Cheng held back after breaking up with his ex-girlfriend for more than half a year. After all, for more than half a year, Jiang Cheng had no other good friends who helped each other, except for the occasional 5 dragons and pillars to solve it for himself. So I let loose for a while. Fortunately, the body gave a warning sign, which made Jiang Cheng immediately restrain himself. Looking at the scenery outside the house, it was already dark. 4 or 5 hours passed before I knew it, and it was past 6 o'clock in the evening. Jiang Cheng rested for a while, and in the end, he recovered almost quickly, and brought Xiang to Chenji Seafood, which he had eaten before. With thousands of square meters of shops and private rooms on the second floor, business is booming. The waiter still remembered Jiang Cheng, the guest who asked for a whole big lobster last time, especially when he had a female companion by his side. He quickly led him to the box on the second floor. Asked Xiang's opinion, probably because of the relationship that could not be released, let Jiang Cheng make the decision. Jiang Cheng did not hide it, and ordered a lobster again, and several other seafood, and this kind of thing, that is, big lobster is relatively common and somewhat famous. I want another bottle of Tiancheng sweet white wine. As one of the only domestic wine brands, the price of Tiancheng red wine is basically more than 100 yuan. Compared with the thousands of imported wines, it is incomparable to tens of thousands of red wines. This made the waiter quite surprised. He didn't expect that the person in front of him, who was eating nearly 10,000 yuan in food, ordered such a cheap wine. I can't drink these things good or bad, so I should support domestic products. Jiang Cheng didn't care, and smiled lightly. Yes, I'll arrange to serve you right away, please wait a moment. The waiter immediately knew that his emotions were seen by the guests, and hurriedly bowed his body. Jiang Cheng turned his head to look at Xiang. Can I drink wine? Can't I have something else? Wine will do. Xiang said quickly. Jiang Cheng nodded with satisfaction. If Xiang can still be so obedient in the future, then he doesn't mind arranging the house and car for Xiang. Even if there is a child in the future, Jiang Cheng will give the other party more. After a while, the lobster and several other dishes were brought up, even though Jiang Cheng ordered a bottle of domestic Tiancheng, which is relatively cheap among red wine. There were also professional sober masters who came over to help open the wine and pour it out before going out. Because it is a sweet white wine, it tastes similar to fruit juice drinks, but it is wine after all, so it is a little different. But let Jiang Cheng and Xiang drink quite well. And looking at the big lobster in the center of the table in front of her, Xiang felt like she was in a dream. Yesterday, she just wanted to gamble. Even if she loses, she will receive a gift of 5,000 yuan. After deducting the share of the platform and the union, she will have 2,000 yuan in her hand. But what I didn't expect was that this brother Cheng actually took a fancy to her and seemed to develop. This made Xiang feel a little panic. Knowing for herself, if she had no makeup, her appearance would be a 6 at most. In the Hong Kong Island films of the 1980s and 1990s, the top-level looks can be called 10. In recent years, several popular florets can score 9 points. Some leading female anchors on major platforms can score 8 or 9 points. And after these top female anchors have no makeup, they are 7 points, 8 points, or even lower. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Xiang felt that she was only 6 points at most, and even if there were bonuses in terms of clothing and makeup, it was only about 7 points. It can make people look beautiful at first glance, but it doesn't catch people. So where did she get the qualifications to continue getting along with this brother Cheng? Maybe it won't take a few days before I get bored. However, Xiang is not discouraged, because she has gotten a lot today. Besides, this brother Cheng is very manly and takes care of her a lot. Zhang Cheng chopped open the lobster, took off one of the big tongs that the chef had handled, and put it back together in front of Xiang. Try it. Xiang smiled sweetly and nodded, thank you. Now she is very satisfied, even if she knows that she will probably be thrown out in the future, but at this moment, she is satisfied. Because he was accompanied by Xiang, he might have consumed too much in the afternoon. Zhang Cheng ate a lot and was satisfied. Pack up the rest of the dishes, and return to the hotel with Xiang after checking out. The next day, Xiang went to the union she signed to resign. Compared with other trade unions, the trade union that Xiang signed with is quite acceptable. As long as she resigns and does not broadcast live on other platforms within a certain period of time, or sign contracts with other trade unions, then resignation does not require any compensation, liquidated damages, etc. So Xiang resigned very smoothly. Sister Xiang, who are you? A female anchor who knew Xiang well said, a little surprised. The day before yesterday, Xiang was rewarded with 5 angels in the live broadcast room. She already knew about it. It was obvious that the live broadcast was about to improve, so how could she think of resigning? Xiang smiled lightly and said, I found a boyfriend, and he doesn't want me to broadcast live. Chapter 10, Dance. Hearing Xiang's words, Yang Wei couldn't help but be taken aback. Found a boyfriend? Is it the big brother who rewarded 5 angels yesterday? Xiang, don't be deceived, right? Yang Wei was a little worried, but she found out that the clothes on Xiang's body were new. And it's still a domestic brand. Although it's not enough to look at compared to those expensive luxury goods, it can be regarded as a face-saving dress among ordinary people. Congratulations, keep in touch in the future. Yang Wei simply sent her blessings. Xiang nodded and smiled, and turned to leave the union. In less than 2 hours, Xiang quit her job and came back. Zhang Cheng was sitting on the sofa playing with pesticides. You're back? How's it going? Zhang Cheng put down his phone, took Xiang's handbag and hung it on the hanger by the door. Well, it went well. Xiang smiled happily, changed her indoor shoes, and followed Zhang Cheng back to the sofa, jumping like a deer. Turn on the TV. Zhang Cheng picked up the phone again, and now he gave a head. After sending an apologetic shortcut voice, he continued to play the game. Zhang Cheng likes to play on the flank, especially on the side of the tank. The feeling of being at the front and absorbing tons of damage for his teammates makes him feel very happy. It's just that the wing version has finally passed. After the shooter's equipment is formed, even 6 pieces of defensive equipment can't stand the shooter's high explosive output. So it's no surprise that Zhang Cheng's crystal exploded quickly when his own shooter was weak. Putting down the phone, Zhang Cheng looked at Xiang beside him. If nothing else, he will basically just sell ginseng and live a leisurely life in the future. But if Xiang, would you like this kind of life? Is there anything you like to do? Zhang Cheng said. Xiang heard the words, and after thinking for a while, it's probably just dancing, right? Although it's not good to scratch your head in front of the camera, if you don't reject dancing, and even like it a little bit, then Xiang wouldn't be a dance anchor. Then are you willing to continue learning? Zhang Cheng said. Xiang was a little surprised, but Zhang Cheng wanted her to learn to dance. Am I a little old? It's just that I usually find something to do, I can't stay at home every day, right? Zhang Cheng said with a light smile. Xiang heard the words and nodded after thinking, okay, I will listen to you. Zhang Cheng didn't waste time, and directly helped Xiang find a dance teacher who taught alone. After all, in those dance schools, there are basically 7 or 8-year-old children and teenagers at most, and it is somewhat embarrassing for an adult like Xiang to follow along. Zhang Cheng was not short of money, so he directly hired a special teacher. This dance teacher is a woman in her 40s. Because of family factors, she cannot go to a professional dance school to become a teacher. She can only accept some temporary guidance work. So I cherish this opportunity. After watching for a while, Zhang Cheng nodded with satisfaction. Basic movements such as hooking, crossing, and lowering the waist were not too urgent. After all, Xiang is already an adult. Remaining is not impossible. And watching Xiang move her body from the sidelines is also a very happy thing. Occasionally play games, or read novels, and then look up to see Xiang practicing dancing and stretching her graceful figure. A few days have passed like this. Just to Zhang Cheng's surprise, an unexpected phone call came. It was not abrupt, because after Fang Yan had already said hello, the imposing old man named Yan Su called. "Young man, I'm Yan Su, I wonder if you still remember me." The old man's hearty voice came from the other end of the phone. "Uncle Yan, if you have something to do, just tell me." Zhang Cheng kept his attitude low. "Haha, I wonder if you still have that kind of ginseng," Yan Su said. After thinking about it, Zhang Cheng said, "Uncle Yan, the old one is gone, but there are 2 older ones. The ginseng sold by Fang Tan, the owner of the pharmacy, and this Yan Su, has grown for more than 10 days, and it looks like it is about 30 years old at 1,000 times the speed of Tiankenja. However, Zhang Cheng does not intend to sell ginseng of a certain year exclusively. He plans to sell 1 day ginseng, 10 day ginseng, and 30 day ginseng in the future." And after these days, Zhang Cheng discovered something that surprised him. That is, ginseng that grows for more than 15 days or 20 days is still shrinking. The ginseng that was originally a large radish has been reduced to the size of a carrot, which is the size of the dried ginseng in the previous 10 days. If nothing else, it looks like wild ginseng. All the rhizomes are gradually approaching wild ginseng. "Oh? That's better, I wonder if it's convenient for you now? If you can, you come to Lao Fang, how about our interview?" When Yan Su heard that there was better ginseng, not only did he not resent it, but he was even more happy. Obviously, he is a master of money. He is not afraid of expensive, but he is afraid that there will be no good goods. Zhang Cheng heard the words, and after thinking for a while, decided to sell 2 more to the other party. "Okay, I'll probably be able to get there in an hour." I asked Xiang if she would like to go out with her. After getting a reply, Zhang Cheng took Xiang out of the dance classroom. "This gentleman." Just when Zhang Cheng was about to leave with Xiang, a beautiful woman in a dance suit stopped Zhang Cheng, and not far behind her, Yu reading www.yuuganshu.com has several other girls in dance suits. Can we temporarily borrow the dance studio you rented?" This dance studio was rented by Zhang Cheng from the dance school. After all, although there are not many vacant dance studios in the dance school, there are some. The price is not very expensive. An empty dance studio with a wooden floor of about 70 or 80 square meters costs only 4,000 yuan a month. Of course, that means that Zhang Cheng is not expensive now. If it was an environment where he only had a salary of 5,000 a month and a rent of 4,000 a month, it would almost cost Zhang Cheng half his life. Hearing the request of the girl in the dance suit, Zhang Cheng nodded and agreed. After all, the other party practiced dance with Xiang Xiang in the same school, and he couldn't see him when he looked up. It was convenient for him to be with others, and he didn't need it now. Without further delay, Zhang Cheng took Xiang Xiang and called a car to return to his residence. Zhang Cheng said he took the things upstairs, and then took out 220 ginseng from the space. He didn't give the best at once, after all, who can't squeeze toothpaste? Then I took the subway to the pharmacy owned by Fang Tanfang, the owner of Chinese Medicine Street. Inside the pharmacy, Fang Tan, a 50-something old man, was sitting at the table in the shop, and there were 4 other people around the table. One is Mr. Yan Su Yan, the other 3 are also good-looking old people, and there is a young man, dressed neatly, standing cautiously behind Mr. Yan, probably the secretary and assistant, who gave Zhang Cheng the last time. It was him who made the transfer. On the other hand, Fang Yan, a young woman of a young age, pouted her lips, and leaned on the counter with some dissatisfied arms. "Little Yanzi, who messed with you?" Zhang Cheng entered the pharmacy and greeted this young woman with a serious temperament and age with a smile.